The morning sun painted the sky orange and pink as 8-year-old. Hyun-woo ran down the sandy beach and his small feet kicked up sand with each step and his backpack bounced against his back. The boy loved these early morning walks before school started. It was his favorite time of day when the beach was empty and Hyun-woo had been collecting seashells since he was 5 years old. His grandmother Mao Soon had taught him how to find the best ones. She always told him to look for shells that were different from the others. The ones with unusual colors or strange shapes were the most special. She said this morning felt different though. The fog was thicker than usual and it made everything look mysterious. Hyun-woo could barely see 20 feet in front of him. The waves sounded louder in the fog and the air felt heavy and wet against his skin. He should have turned back, but something pulled him forward. His grandmother always warned him not to go too far down the beach. The rocky area at the end was dangerous, she said. Big waves could come and sweep a small boy away, but Hyun-woo was curious. He wanted to see what was past those rocks. He had never been that far before. As he walked closer to the rocky outcropping, the fog began to clear a little. The boy could see something dark lying on the sand near the rocks. It looked like a big piece of driftwood that had washed up during the night. Hyun-woo loved finding interesting pieces of wood. The ocean always brought strange things to shore. He ran toward the object, excited to see what the ocean had given him today, but as he got closer he realized this was not driftwood at all. The shape was too smooth and too regular. Driftwood was always rough and full of holes. From sea worms this thing was different. Hyun-woo stopped running and walked slowly toward the strange object. His heart was beating faster now. He had never seen anything like this before. The thing was about the size of a small fishing boat, but it was buried halfway in the sand. Only part of it was showing above the surface. The exposed part looked like metal, but not the kind of metal he knew. It was dark gray, but it seemed to have light coming from inside it. The surface was perfectly smooth, without any rust or scratches. Even though it had been in the ocean, it looked brand new. Strange symbols were carved into the metal surface. They glowed with a soft blue light that pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. Hyun-woo had never seen writing like this before. It was not Korean or English or Chinese. It looked like nothing he had ever seen in any book. The boy dropped his backpack on the sand and knelt down beside the mysterious object. He reached out his hand but then pulled it back. What if it was dangerous? What if it was some kind of bomb that had washed up from a sunken ship? His grandmother would be very angry if she knew he was touching strange things on the beach. But his curiosity was stronger than his fear. Hyun-woo had always been the kind of child who needed to know everything. He asked too many questions and touched things he should not touch. His teachers at school said he was too curious for his own good. Slowly, he reached out and touched the smooth metal surface. With just one finger, the metal was warm, which surprised him. It should have been cold from being in the ocean all night. Instead, it felt like it had been sitting in the sun for hours. The moment his finger touched the surface, everything changed. The blue symbols began to glow brighter and the pulsing got faster. Hyun-woo jerked his hand back, but it was too late. Something was happening. A voice spoke inside his head, not through his ears, but directly into his mind. It was gentle and kind, like his grandfather's voice had been before he died. The voice spoke perfect Korean, but with an accent the boy could not identify. Finally, the voice said with what sounded like great relief, a human child, "I have been waiting so very long." Hyun-woo fell backward onto the sand, his eyes wide with shock and fear. He scrambled away from the object, but the voice followed him inside his mind. "Do not be afraid, young one. I will not hurt you. I have been waiting for someone like you to find me. Who are you?" Hyun-woo whispered, looking around to make sure no one else was on the beach. The fog was still thick, and he could not see anyone else. The voice had to be coming from the strange metal object. "I am Captain Daeho of the exploration vessel Eternal Wanderer," the voice replied, "though those are not my original names. I chose them during my long wait here on your world. I've been stranded on this beach for 955 years. 955 years, Hyun-woo repeated. The number was so big he could barely understand it. That was longer than his country had existed. That was longer than anyone he knew had been alive. "Yes," the voice said patiently. "I crashed here during what was supposed to be a simple survey mission. My ship was damaged and I could not repair it alone. I have been waiting for the right human to find me. Someone young enough to believe and brave enough to help." Hyun-woo looked at the partially buried object with new eyes. It was not just a strange piece of metal, it was a spaceship, a real spaceship from another world with an alien inside who had been waiting for almost 1,000 years for someone to find. Him, are you really an alien? The boy asked, his voice shaking with excitement and fear. From a world very far from here, Captain Deho replied. But I have spent so long studying your people that I feel more human than alien now. I have watched your civilizations grow and change. I have learned your languages and customs. I have seen wars and peace, love and hate. I have been waiting for the right moment and the right person. Why? Mi Hyan Wu asked, why not a grown-up or a scientist or someone important? Because adults often cannot believe in impossible things, the voice explained. Their minds are closed to wonder. Children still have the ability to see magic where adults see only ordinary things. You touched my ship without fear. You spoke to me without running away. You are exactly the kind of human I have been waiting for. Boy sat in the sand staring at the spaceship. The morning was getting brighter, and soon other people would come to the beach. His grandmother would be waking up soon and wondering where he was. He should go home, but he could not leave now. Everything in his life had just changed. What do you want from me? He asked. I want to give your people a gift, Captain Deho said, a gift that will change everything. But first there must be a test. Your species must prove that you are ready for what I have to offer. The test will be dangerous and difficult, but if you succeed, humanity will join the greatest community in the galaxy. And you felt scared and excited at the same time. This was like something from the science fiction movies he watched with his father, but it was real. The spaceship was real, and the alien was real, and somehow he had become part of the most important moment in human history. What kind of test? He asked. A test that will determine whether humans deserve to reach for the stars, the voice replied. But we must hurry, young Hyanwu. Time is running short, and soon your world will face a danger that only we can stop together. The fog was starting to lift, and Hyanwu could see further down the beach in both directions. He was still alone, but not for long. He had to make a choice. He could run home and pretend this never happened, or he could stay and help save the world. I will help you, he said, standing up and brushing sand from his clothes. Tell me what I need to do. The symbols on the spaceship glowed brighter, and Captain Deho's voice filled with warmth and approval. Then let us begin, young hero. Let us begin. Captain Deho told Hyanwu to place both hands on the spaceship. The metal surface felt warm and alive under the boy's palms. More symbols appeared and began glowing in different colors: red, yellow, green, and purple. The patterns moved and swirled like living things. I must explain something very important to you, young Hyanwu, a voice said in his mind. I'm not just any alien visitor. I am what your people might call a gift bearer. My ship and I were sent here by the Galactic Harmony Council. We are the ones who decide which species are ready to join our community among the stars. Wu felt his heart racing. A galactic community. He had dreamed of aliens and spaceships, but he never imagined they were real and that Earth might join them. The idea was so big and exciting that he could barely breathe. But joining our community is not easy, Captain Deho continued. Every species must pass a test to prove they deserve the gifts we offer. The test has 3 parts. They must show courage when facing the unknown. They must show compassion for others, even those who are different from them. And they must show wisdom in how they use power. Why do you need to test us? Hyanwu asked. Because power without wisdom leads to destruction, the alien explained. We have seen many species fail this test. They receive advanced technology and use it to conquer and destroy rather than protect and build. Your species is young and has much potential, but you also have much violence in your history. The boy thought about the wars he had learned about in school and the fighting he saw on the news every day. He understood why aliens might be worried about giving humans powerful technology, but he also thought about all the good people he knew: his grandmother, his teachers, his friends. The test must be taken by a human representative, Captain Deho said, and that representative is you, Hyanwu. You found my ship. You were brave enough to touch it and speak with me. You will be the one to prove that humanity deserves to join the galactic community. Me, Hyanwu squeaked, but I'm just a kid. I do not know anything about saving the world. I cannot even do my math homework without help. That is exactly why you are perfect, the alien replied. Adults think they know everything, but children still believe in possibilities. Adults would argue and fight about who should be in charge. Children simply do what needs to be done. Before He and Wu could ask more questions, Captain Deho's voice became urgent. We do not have much time. A great danger is coming to your world. In 72 hours, an asteroid will strike Earth. It is large enough to destroy most life on your planet, including everyone you love. An asteroid. Hien Wu felt cold fear wash over him, like the one that killed the dinosaurs. Much larger, the alien confirmed. Your scientists do not know about it yet. My sensors detected it 3 days ago. It was knocked off course by a collision near a distant star, and now it heads directly for Earth. Nothing your people have can stop it. Then how can we stop it? The boy asked. My ship has the power to destroy the asteroid easily, Captain Deho explained, but that would not be a test. If I simply saved your world for you, it would prove nothing about human worth. Instead, I will give you tools and knowledge, but humans must be the ones to save themselves. The spaceship began to hum with energy, and more symbols appeared on its surface. These ones were different. They looked almost like mathematical equations. Hien Wu recognized some numbers, but most of it made no sense to him. I will temporarily enhance your abilities, the alien said. You will become much smarter and stronger than any human has ever been, but the power will not last forever. You must use it wisely to convince other humans to help you. Together, you must find a way to stop the asteroid. Enhanced abilities. Hien Wu repeated. The words sounded scary and exciting at the same time. What kind of abilities? You will be able to think as fast as the most powerful computers. You will be able to remember everything you see or hear. You will be strong enough to lift a car and fast enough to run faster than any animal, but most importantly, you will be able to communicate with any technology and understand how it works. The boy felt overwhelmed. This was too much responsibility. He was just 8 years old. He should be worrying about spelling tests and soccer practice, not saving the entire world. But when he thought about his grandmother and all the people who would die if the asteroid hit, he knew he had to try it. We'll do it, he said, trying to sound braver than he felt, but I do not know how to convince adults to believe me. They think kids do not know anything important. That will be your first test, Captain Deho said with approval in his voice. You must find the right adults to help you. People who are smart enough to understand the danger and brave enough to act. You cannot do this alone, but you must be the one to bring everyone together. The spaceship's humming grew louder and the symbols began spinning faster. Hien Wu felt a strange tingling sensation in his hands where they touched the metal surface. The tingling spread up his arms and through his whole body. It did not hurt, but it felt very strange, like electricity was flowing through his veins. Are you ready, young hero? The alien asked. This will change you forever. Even after the enhancement fades, you will never be exactly the same as you were before. Are you willing to accept this responsibility to save your world? Yunwu thought about his grandmother making breakfast at home, probably wondering where he was. He thought about his classmates getting ready for school, having no idea that their world might end in 3 days. He thought about all the people everywhere who deserved a chance to live. Yes, he said firmly, I am ready. The tingling became stronger, and suddenly, Hien Wu felt his mind expanding. It was like someone had turned on a million lights in a dark room. Everything became clearer and brighter. He could hear sounds he had never noticed before, the heartbeat of small crabs under the sand, the whisper of wind through individual grains. He could smell the salt in the ocean and the metal of the spaceship, and even the breakfast his grandmother was cooking miles away. Numbers and equations that had made no sense moments before now seemed as easy as counting to 10. He understood exactly how fast the asteroid was moving and what angle it would hit Earth. He could calculate in his head problems that would take computers hours to solve. His body felt different too. His muscles were stronger and his reflexes were faster. When a seagull flew overhead, he could see every individual feather and track its movement perfectly. He felt like he could run forever or jump over buildings. But the most amazing change was his connection to technology. He could sense the electronic devices all around him, cell phones in distant houses, computers at the university, radio towers transmitting signals. It was like he had become part of a vast network that covered the entire world. This is incredible, he whispered. Remember, the alien warned, the enhancement will fade in 7 days. You must accomplish your mission before then, and remember that with great power comes great responsibility. You must never use these abilities to hurt others or for personal gain. They are given to you only to save your world. Yunwu nodded, understanding the weight of what he had accepted. He was no longer just a boy collecting seashells, he was humanity's representative in a test that would determine the future of his entire species. Now, go, Captain Deho said, find the adults. Who can help you? The clock is ticking and your world depends on Youth Boy picked up his backpack and started running toward home. His enhanced legs carried him faster than any human had ever run, but he was careful not to go so fast that anyone would notice something strange. He had work to do and people to convince and only 72 hours to save. Everyone he had ever loved. The test had begun. Han Wu ran home faster than he had ever moved in his life. His legs carried him across the sand like he was flying. The world looked different now through his enhanced eyes. He could see every grain of sand, every shell, every piece of seaweed with perfect clarity. Colors were brighter, sounds were clearer, and his mind was processing everything at incredible speed. When he reached his grandmother's house, he could smell the rice and soup she was making for breakfast. He could hear her humming an old Korean song in the kitchen. The enhanced hearing let him know exactly where she was and what she was doing, even from outside the house. Grandmother, he called as he burst through the front door. I need to tell you something very important. Mulsoon looked up from the stove with surprise on her face. Hyen Wu, you are back early from your walk, and why are you not out of breath? You ran all the way home, but you are breathing normally. That is part of what I need to tell you, Hyen Wu said quickly. Grandmother, I know this will sound crazy, but I found an alien spaceship on the beach, and it gave me special powers, and there is an asteroid coming to destroy Earth in 3 days. His grandmother set down her spoon and stared at him. Young man, that is quite an imagination you have there, but we do not have time for made-up stories. You need to eat breakfast and get ready for school, please. Believe me, Hyen Wu begged, I can prove it. Watch this. He walked over to the heavy wooden table in their dining room. It was made of solid oak and usually took 2 grown men to move it. Hyen Wu placed his hands under one end and lifted. The table rose into the air as easily as if it were made of paper. His grandmother gasped and stepped backward. That is impossible, she whispered. How are you doing that? The alien enhanced my abilities, Hyen Wu explained, setting the table down gently, and that is not all. I can solve any math problem now. Watch. His grandmother was a retired astronomy professor from Pusan National University. She had always been good at mathematics. Quickly she grabbed a piece of paper and wrote down a complex equation with multiple variables. It was the kind of problem that would normally take her several minutes to solve. Hyen Wu looked at it for just 2 seconds, then said, the answer is 47.638 mol. Soon worked through the equation with her calculator. Her hands were shaking as she pressed the buttons when the final number appeared on the screen. It was exactly what Hyen Wu had said, 47.638. How? She asked, sitting down heavily in her chair. How is this possible? I told you, Hyen Wu said gently. There is an alien spaceship buried in the sand at the beach. The captain has been waiting there for almost 1,000 years. He chose me to represent humanity in a test. And the first part of the test is stopping an asteroid that will hit Earth in 72 hours. An asteroid, Malsoon repeated. Her scientific mind was struggling to accept what she was seeing, but the evidence was right in front of her. Yes, grandmother and I need your help. I can calculate exactly where it is and when it will hit, but I am still just a kid. No one will believe me unless I have adults to help me convince them. You know, people at the university, right? Scientists who study space. Yes, she said slowly. I know. Dr. Kite in the planetary science department. He has been studying asteroids and comets for 20 years. He is always talking about the need for better asteroid detection systems. Perfect, Hyen Wu said. We need to call him right now. Every minute counts. Mulsoon picked up her phone with trembling fingers. She dialed Dr. Kite's number while staring at her grandson, who was now casually lifting her heavy bookshelf with one hand to straighten it. Kite, she said when he answered, this is Malsoon. I need you to come to my house immediately. It is about an asteroid threat. An asteroid threat, he replied. You know I am always interested in discussing planetary defense, but why the urgency? Because my grandson found an alien who told him that an asteroid will hit Earth in 3 days. She said the words sounded crazy even to her, but she had seen the impossible with her own eyes. Malsoon, are you feeling all right? Dr. Kite asked with concern in his voice. I know how it sounds, but please just come. You need to see this for yourself, she insisted. There was a long pause on the phone, then Dr. Kite sighed. I will be there In 30 minutes, he said, but this better not be some kind of joke. While they waited for Dr. Kite to arrive, Hien-Wu demonstrated more of his enhanced abilities. He solved complex mathematical problems in his head faster than a computer. He lifted furniture that should have been impossible for a child to move. He even showed his grandmother that he could understand and control the electronic devices in their house, making the television change channels and the radio play different stations. Just by thinking about it, this is beyond anything science can explain, Malsoon said, watching her grandson make the microwave oven display different numbers without touching it. If I had not seen it myself, I would never believe it. The alien technology is very advanced. Hien-Wu explained it works with something called biotechnology. It temporarily changes my cells to make them work better, but it will not last forever. I only have 7 days before the enhancement fades. When Dr. Kite arrived, he was clearly skeptical. He was a tall, thin man with gray hair and thick glasses. He had known Malsoon for many years and respected her intelligence, but this story sounded impossible, right? He said, sitting down at their kitchen table. Show me what you think is so important. Hien-Wu looked at him seriously. Dr. Kite, there is an asteroid heading toward Earth. It is approximately 2 kilometers wide and traveling at 37,000 kilometers per hour. It will impact in the Pacific Ocean, 800 kilometers southeast of Japan, in exactly 68 hours and 43 minutes. Dr. Kite raised an eyebrow. That is very specific information, young man. How exactly do you know all this? Because the alien spaceship sensors detected it 3 days ago. Hien-Wu replied, I can give you the exact coordinates and trajectory if you want to verify it with your telescopes. This is ridiculous, Dr. Kite said, standing up. Malsoon, I think your grandson has been reading too many science fiction books. There is no alien spaceship and there is no asteroid. Wait, Hien-Wu said, please let me prove it to you. He walked over to Dr. Kite's laptop computer, which was sitting on the table. Without touching the keyboard, he made the screen light up and began opening programs. How are you doing that, Doctor? Kite asked, stepping closer to look. I can interface with any electronic device. Now, Hien-Wu explained. He opened the university's telescope control software and began entering coordinates and search parameters. Watch your email. In about 10 minutes, you will receive data from the Subaru telescope in Hawaii showing exactly where the asteroid is right now. Dr. Kite stared at the computer screen. The boy had access systems that required multiple passwords and security codes. He had done it without typing anything, just by looking at the screen. This is impossible, he whispered. Please. Dr. Kite, Hien-Wu said, just check the telescope data. When you see the asteroid, you will know I am telling the truth, and then we need to figure out how to save everyone. Dr. Kite's phone buzzed with an email notification. He opened it with shaking hands. The attached images showed a large, dark object moving through space exactly where Hien-Wu had said it would be. The timestamps and trajectory calculations all matched the boy's predictions perfectly. My God, he breathed. It is real. The asteroid is real. But how did you know? Where did you get this information? I told you, Hien-Wu said patiently. There is an alien spaceship on the beach. The captain has been waiting for someone to find him. He chose me to represent humanity in a test to see if we deserve to join the galactic community. The asteroid is the first challenge we have to face. Dr. Kite looked at Malsoon, who nodded grimly. I have seen things today that should be impossible, she said, but the evidence is right here. My grandson has abilities that no human should have, and he knew about this asteroid before any of our detection systems found it. If this is true, Dr. Kite said slowly, then we have less than 3 days to organize a planetary defense response. But our current technology is not capable of stopping an object that large, moving that fast. We would need international cooperation, advanced rocket systems, and probably nuclear weapons. That is why we need to move fast, Hien-Wu said. The alien will help us, but humans have to do most of the work ourselves. It is part of the test. We have to prove we can work together to save our own world. Dr. Kite sat down and put his head in his hands. This is the biggest crisis in human history, he said, and our only hope is an 8-year-old boy with alien-enhanced abilities. Yes, Hien-Wu said simply, but I cannot do it alone. I need you and grandmother and many other people to help me. Will you help me save the world? Dr. Kite looked up at the boy who was asking him to believe in the impossible. Then he looked at the telescope data on his phone showing an asteroid that could end human civilization. The choice was clear even if the situation was insane, yes. He said, standing up, I will help you now. Let us figure out how to save everyone on Earth. Dr. Kite spent the next 2 hours making phone calls to scientists and government officials around the world. His enhanced abilities allowed Han-Wu to help by translating languages in real time and accessing secure computer systems to provide proof of the asteroid threat within hours. Observatories in Chile, Russia, and Australia had confirmed the massive object heading toward Earth. The boy sat at the kitchen table watching. Dr. Kite paced back and forth while talking to the director of NASA. His grandmother brought him soup, but Han-Wu was too nervous to eat. The weight of saving the entire world felt heavy on his small shoulders. This is Director Chun from the Chinese Space Agency, Dr. Kite said, putting his phone on speaker. Dr. Kite, you were right. The asteroid is enormous and moving incredibly fast. Our preliminary calculations show it will cause an extinction-level event if it hits. How long do we have, Director? Chun asked through the phone. 58 hours and 17 minutes, Han-Wu said without looking up from his soup. Who was that? Dr. Kite asked. That was the boy I told you about, Han-Wu. He has been providing all our calculations. He somehow knows exactly where the asteroid is at every moment. Dr. Kite, I need to meet this child, Director Chun said immediately. If he has information that our best computers cannot calculate, then we need him involved in the response planning. Captain Daeho's voice spoke in Han-Wu's mind. It is time for the next phase. Young hero, you must bring the leaders together, but first you must understand the complete truth about this test. Wu stood up and walked outside into the small garden behind his grandmother's house. Dr. Kite and Mal soon followed him, wondering what he was doing. Tell them, Captain Daeho. Han-Wu said aloud. They need to know everything. A small metal sphere rose up from the boy's pocket. It was no bigger than a marble, but it glowed with the same blue light as the spaceship on the beach. The sphere hovered in the air above Han-Wu's hand and began to speak in perfect Korean. Greetings, Dr. Kite and honored grandmother Malsoon. I am Captain Daeho of the Galactic Harmony Council. Dr. Kite stumbled backward and Malsoon grabbed onto her grandson's arm. For support. You are real, she whispered. The alien is really as real as the asteroid that threatens your world, Captain Daeho replied through the floating sphere. But there is something you must understand about this test. The asteroid is real and the danger is real, but this situation was not an accident. What do you mean? Han-Wu asked, though part of him already suspected what the alien was going to say. The Galactic Harmony Council has been guiding this asteroid toward your planet for nearly 100 years, Captain Daeho explained. We needed to create a situation that would test humanity's worthiness to join our community. The asteroid was chosen because it presents the perfect challenge. You mean you are attacking us? Dr. Kite shouted angrily. You are trying to destroy our world. No. The alien replied calmly. We are testing you. If we wanted to destroy your world, we could do so easily and without warning. This test gives you the opportunity to save yourselves and prove your worth. The asteroid can be stopped, but only if humans work together using wisdom, courage, and compassion. Wu felt confused and upset. The alien had been helping him, but now he learned that the aliens had caused the danger in the first place. It felt like being rescued by someone who had pushed you into the river. I can see you are troubled, young Han-Wu. Captain Daeho said gently. This is part of your test as well, learning that sometimes the right thing to do is complicated. Even when you feel betrayed or confused, you must still choose to save others. But why? Han-Wu asked. Why create this danger at all? Because your species is at a crossroads. The alien explained. You have developed technology that could destroy yourselves or lift you to greatness. We needed to see which path you would choose when faced with extinction. Would you work together or fight each other? Would you sacrifice for strangers or only save yourselves? The floating sphere began showing holographic images of other planets and other species. Some worlds were beautiful with gleaming cities and peaceful inhabitants. Others were dark and ruined with the remains of civilizations that had destroyed themselves. These species failed their tests, Captain Daeho said, pointing to the ruined worlds. They received great power, but used it for war and conquest. They never learned to work together or think beyond themselves. Eventually, they destroyed their own civilizations, and these Mal soon asked, looking at the beautiful worlds. These species passed their tests. They learned to cooperate and use their abilities to protect and create rather than destroy. They joined our galactic community and now help us guide other young species. Like yourselves, the hologram disappeared and the sphere returned to hovering over Henwu's hand. Now came the most important part of Captain Deho's revelation. There is one more thing you must know about this asteroid, he said. The current trajectory will cause it to miss Earth by a very small margin, but the gravitational interaction with your planet will change its course. It will be flung toward the Andromeda Galaxy, where it will arrive in 2,000 years, so it will miss us, Dr. Kite said. With relief, then, we do not need to worry about it. You are not understanding, Captain Deho replied. In the Andromeda Galaxy, the asteroid will strike a star system with 7 inhabited planets. Those worlds contain over 40 billion intelligent beings. They will have no warning and no way to defend themselves. Xian Wu felt his stomach drop. He understood now. The test was not just about saving Earth. It was about what humans would do when they learned that saving themselves would doom others. We have to stop it completely, he said quietly. We cannot let it hit those other planets, even if it means missing Earth. That is correct, Captain Deho said with approval in his voice. This is the true test of your species. Will you expend your resources and risk your people to save aliens you have never met and will never know? The choice will determine whether humanity deserves to join the galactic community. Dr. Kite was staring at the floating sphere with wide eyes. So our choice is between definitely saving Earth and possibly saving both Earth and 40 billion aliens. Yes, Captain Deho confirmed, and I must tell you that deflecting the asteroid to save both worlds will be much more difficult than simply letting it pass by Earth. It will require perfect international cooperation, advanced technology, and tremendous sacrifice from your Qian Wu looked at his grandmother and Dr. Kite. Both adults were struggling with the enormous moral weight of the decision. If they chose the easier path, Earth would be safe, but 40 billion innocent beings would die in 2,000 years. If they chose the harder path, they might save everyone, or they might fail and doom both Earth and the distant worlds. What do you think we should do? Grandmother Hyanwu Askebmosun was quiet for a long moment. Then she knelt down and took her grandson's hands in hers. Hyanwu, she said, when I was young, my grandfather told me something I have never forgotten. He said that true strength is not about how much you can lift or how fast you can run. True strength is about doing what is right even when it is hard, and even when no one will thank you for it. So we try to save everyone. Hyanwu asked. We try to save everyone, she confirmed, even if we do not know them, even if they live so far away that we will never meet them. We try because that is what good people do. Dr. Kite nodded slowly. I agree, he said. If we have the power to save 40 billion lives, then we have the responsibility to try. It will not be easy, but we must attempt it. Captain Deho's sphere glowed brighter with what seemed like pride. You have chosen well, he said. This is why your species has potential now. We must work together to organize the greatest cooperative effort in human history. You have 56 hours to bring together every space agency and government on Earth. The test had become more complex, but Hyanwu felt strangely confident his enhanced abilities would help him coordinate the massive effort, and his human heart would keep him focused on saving everyone both on Earth and in distant galaxies. The real work was just beginning. Within 12 hours, news of the asteroid had spread across the entire world. Hyanwu used his enhanced abilities to help coordinate emergency meetings between world leaders. Scientists from every country worked together, sharing data and calculations. The boy served as a translator and communication hub, speaking dozens of languages fluently and accessing computer systems around the globe. But when the leaders learned about the distant alien worlds that would be destroyed if Earth took the easy path, everything became complicated. Arguments broke out in the emergency session of the United Nations. Some countries wanted to focus only on saving Earth. Others insisted that they had a moral duty to protect the unknown alien. Xian Wu sat in the Great Assembly Hall in New York, surrounded by presidents and prime ministers from around the world. He looked very small in the large chair, but his voice carried clearly through the translation systems as he spoke. My name is Hyanwu and I am 8 years old, he said. The alien chose me to represent all humans in this test. I know that sounds strange, but I am the one who found the spaceship, and I am the one with enhanced abilities to help coordinate our response. President Martinez from Mexico leaned forward in his seat. Young man, you are asking us to risk the entire human race to save aliens we have never met. How do we know they even exist? How do we know this is not some the floating sphere that contained Captain Deho's voice activated from the table in front of Hyun Woo? I can show you images of the threatened worlds if you wish, President Martinez. But ultimately, you must make this choice based on faith that doing the right thing is more important than doing the easy thing. Prime Minister Singh from India spoke next. Even if we believe these aliens exist, why should we risk our own people to save them? They are not our responsibility, because that is what good people do, Hyun Woo replied simply. When my grandmother sees someone who needs help, she helps them even if she does not know them. When my teacher sees a student struggling, she helps them even if they are not her favorite student. Good people help others because it is right, not because they will get something back. President Thompson from America shook his head. This is too much responsibility for our species. We have our own problems: poverty, disease, war. Why should we risk everything for strangers? Chancellor Weber from Germany stood up and addressed the assembly. I have been thinking about this question for hours, she said. My country once made terrible choices because we decided some people were less important than others. We told ourselves it was necessary to protect our own people, but we learned that when you start deciding who deserves to live and who deserves to die, you lose your humanity. The debate continued for hours. Some leaders argued that humanity's first duty was to itself. Others insisted that having the power to save billions of lives created a moral obligation to act. Hyun Woo listened to every argument, translating between languages and providing technical data when needed. Finally, Secretary General Park called for a break in the discussions. As the leaders left the assembly hall, Hyun Woo remained in his seat, feeling overwhelmed by the weight of the decision. The fate of 2 worlds and 40 billion lives hung in the balance, and somehow he was at the center of it all. His grandmother approached and sat beside him. How are you feeling? She asked, gently. Scared, he admitted. I thought saving the world would be more like in the movies where everyone works together and the hero knows exactly what to do, but this is much harder. Everyone is arguing, and I do not know if we will make the right choice. That is because real life is more complicated than movies. Malsoon said, real heroes do not always know what to do. They just keep trying to do what is right even when it is difficult. Captain Deho's sphere glowed softly on the table. Young Hyun Woo, the alien said, you are learning the most important lesson of leadership. True strength comes not from having all the answers, but from bringing people together to find the answers. But what if we fail? Hyun Woo asked, what if we choose to help the aliens and we end up not saving anyone then? At least we will have tried to do the right thing, Captain Deho replied. The Galactic Harmony Council has seen many species face this choice. Some choose selfishness and are denied membership in our community. Others choose compassion and earn their place among the stars, regardless of whether they succeed perfectly. When the session resumed, Secretary General Park announced that they would hold a global referendum. Every person on Earth over the age of 16 would be allowed to vote on whether humanity should attempt to save both Earth and the distant alien worlds or focus only on protecting their own planet. The campaign that followed was unlike anything in human history. People argued passionately on both sides. Families were divided, friends disagreed, news programs featured debates between experts. Politicians gave speeches about duty and responsibility. Wu traveled around the world, appearing on television and speaking to crowds. He explained the situation in simple terms that everyone could understand. He answered questions and demonstrated his enhanced abilities to prove that the alien threat was real. In Seoul, thousands of people gathered to hear him speak. A reporter asked him, what would you want your children to think about the choice you made today? Hyun Woo thought carefully before answering. I would want them to know that when we had the chance to save billions of lives, we tried. Even if it was hard, even if we were scared, even if we might fail. I would want them to know that their parents and grandparents chose to be heroes. Similar scenes played out in cities around the world. In London, a young girl asked why they should help aliens who might not even be friendly. In Tokyo, an old man wondered if humanity was mature enough to handle such responsibility. In Cairo, a mother worried about risking her children's future for strangers, but gradually a consensus began to emerge. Stories spread of human kindness and courage, rescue workers who risked their lives for strangers, doctors who traveled to foreign countries to help people they had never met, ordinary people who shared food with the hungry and shelter with the homeless. The vote was scheduled for exactly 24 hours before the asteroid deflection mission would need to begin. It would be the closest global election in history, with billions of people making perhaps the most important decision their species had ever faced. Wu spent the night before the vote walking on the beach where he had first found Captain Deho's spaceship. The alien sphere floated beside him, glowing softly in the darkness. Are you proud of how humans are handling this test? He asked. I am impressed by your species' capacity for both selfishness and compassion, Captain Deho replied. Many species we have tested never even considered the welfare of distant strangers. The fact that your people are debating this choice so seriously shows great moral development. But what if they choose to only save Earth then? They will have made their choice, the alien said simply, and we will help them deflect the asteroid away from your world. The Galactic Harmony Council does not punish species for choosing survival, but they also do not invite selfish species to join our community. When the voting results were announced, the margin was narrow but clear. 63% of humanity had chosen to attempt saving both worlds, even knowing the risks. The boy who had just wanted to collect seashells had somehow helped convince his entire species to risk everything for strangers they would never meet. Now came the hardest part, actually doing it. The final 24 hours before the asteroid deflection mission were the most intense in human history. Space agencies from every country worked together like never before. Russian rockets carried American satellites. Chinese computers calculated European missile trajectories, and Japanese engineers designed systems that would be launched from Indian spacecraft. Wu stood in the Mission Control Center at Cape Canaveral, surrounded by screens showing rocket launches from around the world. His enhanced abilities allowed him to monitor every part of the complex operation simultaneously. He could track dozens of spacecraft, calculate their precise positions, and coordinate their movements with perfect timing. The plan was incredibly dangerous and required split-second timing. 12 nuclear devices would be positioned around the asteroid and detonated in sequence to push it into a precise trajectory that would send it safely into empty space, far from both Earth and the alien worlds. In Andromeda, the margin for error was almost zero. Commander Lee from South Korea was in charge of the final approach to the asteroid. Her voice crackled through the radio as her spacecraft closed in on the massive rock. This is incredible, she reported. The asteroid is even larger than we calculated. It looks like a small mountain floating in space. Wu closed his eyes and used his enhanced senses to feel the positions of all 12 spacecraft as they approached their target points. His connection to technology allowed him to monitor their guidance systems and make tiny adjustments to keep them on course. Everything must be perfect, he said aloud. The timing has to be exact or the asteroid will break apart instead of being deflected. Dr. Kite stood beside him, watching the screens with nervous excitement. 20 years. I have been studying asteroid impacts, he said, and now we are actually doing something about one. This is the greatest engineering achievement in human history. The first nuclear device detonated exactly on schedule, followed by the second and third in rapid succession. Wu felt each explosion through the spacecraft sensors and calculated the tiny changes in the asteroid's momentum. Everything was working according to plan, but then disaster struck. The eighth spacecraft suffered a malfunction and its nuclear device failed to detonate at the right time. Without that explosion, the asteroid's trajectory would not change enough. It would still miss Earth, but it would still be aimed at the alien worlds in Andromeda. Commander Park in spacecraft number 9 radioed immediately. I can compensate for the missed detonation, but I will have to get much closer to the asteroid. The radiation from my nuclear device might damage my ship's systems. I might not be able to get away in time. No, Wu said into his microphone. It is too dangerous. Commander Park's voice was steady and calm. Young hero, I volunteered for this mission knowing the risks. If my sacrifice can save 40 billion lives, then it is worth it.